Away from that, into education matters and alternative providers for basic education and training, that is ABET schools, now want the National Assembly to amend the Basic Education Act to include them in the Kenyan basic education structure. Now, the group, which comprises of low-cost private schools operating largely in slums and far-to-reach areas, have cited lack of official recognition by the government and the absence of a clear policy on their existence as huge impediment in their work. Speaking at a meeting of more than 600 ABET school directors, Mathare Member of Parliament Antonio Lwach said the role the schools play in the slums is huge and must be acknowledged.
The low-cost private schools, otherwise known as ABET schools, largely operate in slums and other hard-to-staff areas. And despite their long existence, their operations and recognition remains a long-standing battle. And on Friday, Mathare Member of Parliament Antonio Lwach, while meeting directors drawn from various ABET schools across Nairobi, talked of the need to amend the Basic Education Act to include the schools.
The Basic Education Act does not incorporate or recognize ABET schools. These are alternative provisions for training in education. It defines education to be public and private. There are about 1.8 million students who belong to this category, children who are neither public nor private. They go into informal schools, schools that are in informal settlements like Mathare, Kibera, Mukuru, Kangemi, and all these places.
ABET plays a very vital role in ensuring that that child in the urban slum in Kenya, whether it's Nairobi, whether it's in Mombasa or Nakuru, accesses an education.
Due to lack of recognition, these schools could not be registered. And so members have been trying to have them registered, all in vain. That is one. And the other thing was the government having not recognized these schools. It was mentioned earlier that the schools are not given the capitation.
The group is currently working closely with members of parliament and other professionals to come up with proposals which will form part of the bill to be submitted in parliament with a view to pushing for amendment to the Basic Education Act.
There is no way you can have 100% of school transition when you have 1.8 million children not being recognized, not being catered for, and not being planned.
Last week, we did a position paper with the Member of Parliament, then they came for the participation, and now they implored us again to do a petition, which is on course.
Is that ABET schools, which have been actually in existence for long, they have suffered as a result of that not being recognized, in that even the teachers that they employ, most of them do not have the TSC number. And the reason being, it's simple. These teachers are qualified, they are trained, but because they went through the same system of ABET, and they were actually people of low economic standards, they are not able to claim for their certificate.
ABET plays a very vital role in ensuring that that child in the urban slum in Kenya, whether it's Nairobi, whether it's in Mombasa or Nakuru, accesses an education.
Meanwhile, Nairobi Governor Johnson Sakaja has announced a reduction in the licensing fee for ABET schools from 15,000 shillings to a flat rate of 3,000 shillings per year.
For the ABET schools across Nairobi, from the 15,000, from the 10,000 according to the number of the learners, to a flat rate of Kenya shillings 3,000, and that is a big milestone. And that amount of money that he has declared, 3,000, will be paid per term.
First term 1,000, second term 1,000, third term 1,000.
At the same time, Nairobi County will next week unveil modern kitchen ahead of rolling out school feeding program for all public primary schools in the county set for next term. Shadrach Miti, Kitchen News.
Time for a fast